Hey, how's everybody? How you doing? Hey, listen, Pastor Prophet Don here and here. I'm just wanting to talk to you today about a subject that's on my mind. I'm the prophet and pastor of a church called Church on the Narrow Way here in Inglewood, California. We are on the narrow way, as Matthew 7:13 and 14 teaches. It's very important. I hope that your church is in Church on the Narrow Way just as well. But today I have a subject, and I've been, in my sleep, I continually hear from God constantly, and it's like you need to wake up and do your videos then, pretty much. But in my spirit, I pray that what God tells you and tells me in the middle of the night, we can remember during the daytime. But I do write everything down, so that's why I'm here today. So listen, we want to talk about titles. I hear a lot of people talking about titles and they don't need titles, and I'm a little concerned about the people on YouTube as we reach out to people, because a lot of the content on YouTube is very, very good, especially when it comes to the end times. The end times, I hear a lot of people, and it's really, really, really good. And I was thinking a little bit about some of the content, and I can tell that people are reaching the people that they want to reach. A lot of people are probably subscribing to your channels and probably hearing what you're saying, and it shows in the numbers. But I was just thinking, then what's really wrong? As a prophet, my calling is to, let's say, to explain from the words of God to me. That's what a prophet is. He hears from God, and he speaks the words to those people he's called to speak to, from God's mouth to me, to you. He speaks exactly what God is spoken to him. And that's what I want to do today. I want to speak exactly what God has spoken to me. But he made me aware that of some things on YouTube as we reach out to people and reach out to so many people, that sometimes so prophetically I'm speaking to you about, so what's still so wrong? What's wrong with the way things are going? It's like everybody's, content, we hitting them hard, and the world is still seemingly to do the same as it has always been. I'm sure we're reaching some people. Are people changing their lives? It's kind of hard to tell when you look at TV and you look at the news. You can't say that they are. You really can't say that. It's like things are still just getting worse and worse, as the Bible said it would. But I was thinking in terms of those speaking on YouTube, that the Lord called me to start a church. And I think that when people hear that you are speaking for yourself and you're speaking for God, don't get me wrong, you're speaking for God, but you yourself are speaking, they're trying to, sometimes people have been programmed to hear a pastor and to hear the pastors only. The program is that they hear us. I think they hear on YouTube, but I don't think they hear us like the pastors hear, because the pastors have the larger platform. Our program, our mind has been programmed to listen to them first. But here it is. But on YouTube, the pastors aren't on really YouTube. They're not really there. Not with the bishops or anybody like that. Now, we can say, oh, no, I'm on there. I'm on that. That's not exactly what I mean. It's like you got pastors on there, but they're not, you don't really get the essence of the problems that's in America, how they feel about that problem. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. If it's political correctness, they're silent. They're pretty much silent. LGBT, same-sex marriage, they're pretty silent, especially on YouTube. Are you noticing what I'm saying? Are you getting it now? So God has brought this to my attention, that they're not speaking up regarding those type of things. They're not speaking up regarding those, but they'll come to YouTube and you'll see the bishop's message. It's a message that's maybe at church that he preached, which is nothing wrong. It has its place. I'm not saying that it doesn't have its place. But notice the message does not match the times. The message is not talking about something that we're actually going through. It's like they just, I'm gonna get on. They load thing up to YouTube. It's there. It's a great message, but it's like the prophetic people. And I don't know if you call yourself a prophet or don't call yourself a prophet. Listen to me. This is what I feel about it. I know that I'm a prophet, but I don't go around have to say I'm a prophet. But you can do that if you desire to, if you want to. It's nothing you boast on and something you brag on. It's like, no, it's okay to say Samuel the prophet. But somebody may just say Samuel, or even the preachers, you know. Some preachers have to have their title, Bishop so-and-so, and Bishop Reverend that. And some people might call a guy like Benny Hinn, just say Benny Hinn. If you say Benny Hinn, everybody knows who you're talking about. You know, and some people might even say Pastor Benny Hinn, Pastor John Hagee, or they might say just John Hagee. So it's not, I don't think that titles are very, very important. Please hear me. Titles are important, especially if you're going to expect people to hear your message and then hold you accountable just as they're holding the pastors accountable. Do you understand what I'm saying? You want everybody to see, you want them to hear your message. But who are you that they should listen to your message? Do you have a church? Because while they're listening to your message, people still got to go to church on Sundays. And so the question becomes, do you have something they can go to if they don't go to church based on what they heard from you? Well, don't go to organized church, some people say. I've heard it for a long time. But so, okay, so where do they go? So you got to give people answers where they go. Is it always, should they come to your channel? Should they just listen to YouTube every week? Should they listen to the church channels and all the other channels? You got to give people some kind of outlet. So the Lord called me this, when I started my church, I really was mad and upset because I better know what I'm doing. God, you know, come on, you know. But I kind of begin to see now that by having a, as they say, brick and mortar place to preach, or establishment to preach, then at least the people can come if they want to hear the message that they're hearing on YouTube. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense, because you're saying everything. A lot of the things are right. And here's the next thing: we don't all have to agree on what we're saying. You know, we're not going to hell because you think Jesus is coming tomorrow. I think he's not, and blah 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 da 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 da. But there are new things that the Bible. God told me this. He said, as we enter the end times and as we get closer to the end times, more revelation would come forward. So some things you're saying on YouTube and the new revelations God has given you, you got to give people time to let that sink in for a while. Don't expect them to drop their church and run out of the door based on what you're saying on YouTube. You know, get out of there. I agree. I'm with you. I think they should get out. I think run for your life. But where they're going to run to? So people either they don't know nowhere else to go, so they stay at home. I watch it on TV, but that's limited television, because those are TV evangelists, and a lot of times many of them aren't talking about the things. But but our soul needs a word from the Lord. Sometimes you go to church just to get in the spirit of everything, the spirit of God. We just want to be in the presence of God, and you know that when the sermon comes up or the message comes up, it's not really reaching you, but it's reaching everybody in there. But because you have the calling of that prophet on your life. They don't. They're just glad to be there because they're just the body of Christ. But you have a calling on your life. I want people to hold me accountable for who I say that I am. Because when you say that you are a prophet, a pastor, a bishop, evangelist, people need to be able to hold you accountable to who you say you are. Because I don't have a really problem with titles, but do you do what your title says you can do, like it's supposed to be done? And that's how you can able to determine whether this person is a false prophet, a true prophet. But it sounds like a lot of it's coming across like, that's my opinion, you know, I've studied. And when you say study the Bible for yourself. Y'all study, and you would say, study the Bible for yourself. You'll see what I'm saying. While you are right, part of the problem is a lot of the people have been programmed so long from being in church that when they do read the Bible, they're already pre-programmed to come out with the same interpretation that their pastor came out with, or else they'll come. People who really don't go to church. Well, I read the Bible for myself. They never were in church that much, but when they do read the scriptures, they come back with an interpretation of their own. It matches nothing. They have no Bible college interpretations. They haven't read any books. They're not reading any commentaries. They're not even called, really. But they're trying to do what you're asking them to do. Read your Bible. You read it. You'll see. You read there, right there, right there. It's like I know I'm hitting the thing. But you got to understand that we're in trouble. We are in trouble. And I'm saying we're in trouble because pastors has actually put us in trouble. Bishops and the big churches have actually, mega churches, have placed us in trouble. I've taken a class on apologetics. You know, I try not to be somebody who's just all me. I know the Lord's going to tell me. But when I take a class on apologetics, I understand that some of the things they're teaching, I'm listening to the pastor, and he doesn't know this stuff. Apologetics is defending the faith. How many preachers do you see on YouTube defending the faith? Everybody is just, like I say, you can say just us. People who go to church, people who love the Lord, people who are just members of church, people who have little Bible studies at their homes. But people are not seeing you as this authority figure. You understand what I'm saying? To them, you're not an authority figure. And they're waiting on the big guys to say it. If they say it, I'll believe it better. But you guys, I hear what you said. Girl, you sound good. That makes sense. You're right about that. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to leave people to their own discretion. Like I say, some people go to organized church. Don't go to organized church. Don't go to, get out of there, get out of there. It's like, wait. You just can't tell a person, don't go to organized church, because the opposite of organized is disorganized church. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as a prophet, I'm here to say things. God, I'm here to explain. So this is the last thing I can say. So if you come to YouTube and you say, we got to get back to holiness. We got to get back to, and we do need to get back to holiness. But my prophetic take on that is, as a prophet, I'm going to say, you are right. But let me help you understand something. If I'm helping you at all, in all humility. Because prophets are known for their courage and their humility. It's not about being braggadocious or anything like that, but they have to have the courage. So if a person says that we got to get back to holiness, y'all, this thing is falling apart, they are right. But prophetically, you got to understand, we are not going back to holiness. We can't go back to holiness. And you need to kind of get that in your head. One minute you say we're in the end times, and the next minute you saying let's get back to holiness. So which are we? Are we going to go back to holiness? Because if we go back to holiness, how can it be the end times? You understand what I'm saying? It cannot be the end times. So wherever this is going, it's but the Bible, well, not just wherever, but the Bible tells us where it's going in the last days, how it will be. Men's level of themselves. People will get worse and worse. And the signs of the times. And as we see it as Sodom and Gomorrah, don't think we're going back to something. We're not going back. It's the thing. I think that those of you and myself and everybody on YouTube start believing that it's going where it has to go based on the fact that it's prophecy. It is Bible prophecy. So we could change, right? We have a free will to change. But prophetically, God has put that there in the Bible to say, you could, but you aren't going to change. Israel did not change. America did not change. We are not going to change. The laws are changing all the time. And it told us that these things would happen. Jesus told us what would happen before he came. Before, the sign of the time before he came. So you're saying Jesus can come back. He can come back tonight. He can come back here. He could. You never know. No man knows the day. Well, hold on. So I might challenge that, and let's not argue. Let's not fuss. Let's not fight. But he gives us the prerequisites of what the signs of the times before he comes. He even says there in the Bible, I've told you this before, so that when you see it, you will know. I've said this to you before. Remember, I told you this before, and this would happen. Is ravenous wolves will come in and try to take the sheep. You can't sit there and say like, I didn't think that was going to happen. What do you mean you don't think that was going to happen? So it's happening with or without you. The best thing I would encourage anybody to do, we can encourage the pastors, encourage the bishops, but a lot of times they don't want to talk to you. Prophets and bishops, a lot of times, pastors don't get along. The fivefold ministry, what is it? Apostle, prophet, evangelist, teacher, pastors. whatever, that whole thing. We are a house ourselves divided against ourselves. You don't want to hear me. You don't want to hear, I think, supposedly I don't want to, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm listening to you. And if I have something that I think that you're saying that I might need to think about, I'm going to do that. Because I love the word of God that much. I don't want to be Mr. I know it all. And we got enough arrogant preachers. Listen, so I hope that I've said something. Okay, I hope I've said something. It's okay if you decide to use your title, use it. It's not fair that you feel like, well, you're not showing off. If you go to the job description has a title. People need order, certain things. You need to get on the right person. If that's the manager, that's the manager. But when we just leave it kind of loosely, like, I'm just talking and I'm nobody and people will see it just that way. If you're going to speak with authority, speak with your authority. It's okay to let people know who you are. Even if you're a pastor and your doctrine is wrong. We still got to keep going. I mean, you have to correct that doctrine, or somebody has to say, well, yeah, he means well. It doesn't mean he's going to hell. He just may not understand as much as another person. And there are people who are intentionally false prophets, intentionally misleading people. People are afraid to speak up against a pastor or a bishop or this person. You know he's wrong. You got to say something. Just don't let you see your friends falling into the trap. People are falling left and right, and they're sitting there when people say there's no hell. I'm trying to understand myself. Why are they sitting there? Didn't you just hear him say that there is no hell? And the Bible is telling you to better to cut off the hand or the right hand than to enter hell. And then you're going to let some preacher, and these young preachers, you don't owe them nothing. Let me tell you something. You don't owe them nothing. They're the next generation of preachers who don't know that much. They've inherited a big church. They got a big name. They got the right suit on. They got everything. And all of a sudden, all these things are, there's no hell. There's no more devil. No. Somebody say something. I don't care who that bishop is or that pastor is, but a righteous man is going to speak up and defend the faith. Defending the faith is defending God. Some people say you can't defend God. When you defend the faith, you are defending the word of God. Do you understand? Hallelujah, Jesus. Oh, bless your name. Listen, Prophet Don, whichever you say Don, it doesn't matter. Church on the narrow way. My main concern is that I'm on the narrow way. I don't know what way, but I pray that you're on the narrow way too. If that's not the name of your church, that's fine. But we all should be on the narrow way. We know the broad way. We know the broad way. And we know the end of it is destruction. And there'll be few that find it. Very few people come to my church. Sometimes I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel just wonderful because what I say, I want them to make a determination. If you want to sit there, I'll leave. But I'm not going to leave an establishment. I want to stand there. I've been there 9 years. And it doesn't bother me who walks out. As long as that word is correct, God is pleased. That's all that matters to me. You can go to the bigger church with the bigger, better deal and all that, and that choirs. That's fine. I'm not even knocking that. But I cannot say what other people are saying. I cannot say and line my words up with a bishop or a pastor just to preach at his church. I'm good. I'm really good. I don't need to. I'm good. But a pastor that invites you to their church after hearing you speak, like I'm speaking or how you speak, that man or that woman is trying to find truth. You can't knock that person if they're trying to use you and you coming and you speaking. That person, they're looking for something. You may have something that changes their lives. You might put the fear of God back into them. Hallelujah. You might put the fear of God back into people. And that's a lot of the problems that's here. Preachers just don't have the backbone and the nerves, and that's Bishop, and Bishop doesn't have the backbone. He just doesn't have it. It sounds good, but he's not saying it. He doesn't want to get in trouble. He don't want anybody to say anything. He wants to be liked by everybody. That's a whole nother video, a conversation we can have. But we want to hope that we can work together, But like I said, if we can't, it's the end times. Don't be surprised that we cannot. So listen, if you like what's being said, I'll be back. We're going to try this again and again and again. I've got a lot of things to say. My thing is that we all please God first, that you get the praises of God greater than the praises of men. And too many people want the praises of men. That will not be my testimony, no matter what happens. No matter what happens. Stand on your ground. You trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding, and don't be afraid of their faces. Listen, God bless you today. Hopefully you have a book coming out within this year at some point or another, explaining a lot of things that I have discovered in the end times in the book of Revelation and Daniel and all those books, Thessalonians, about the signs of the times. But listen, God bless you. Thank you for being with me today. I hope you got a blessing out of this message, and we will return again, right? Okay, you take care now. All right. Bye.